You let your emotions control your decisions, even after promising yourself you'd stay calm and rational. What if you could feel intense emotions, but never let them dictate your actions or derail your goals? In this video, I'll share 6 neuroscience-backed techniques used by Navy SEALs and elite performers that will help you master emotional discipline permanently. I discovered these methods after years of watching my emotions sabotage important opportunities, relationships, and goals despite knowing better intellectually. The problem is, most people think emotional discipline means suppressing feelings, when research from Stanford's Center for Compassion shows it's actually about creating space between stimulus and response. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to experience emotions fully without being controlled by them, so you can stay aligned with your values even in intense moments. Let's dive in. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Most people believe emotions last for hours or even days, but there's a neurological truth that changes everything about how you manage them. The 90-second rule, discovered by brain scientist Dr. Jill Bolt-Taylor, states that the physiological lifespan of an emotion in your body is exactly 90 seconds. When you experience an emotion, your brain releases chemicals that flood your body, creating physical sensations. If you simply observe these sensations without feeding the emotion with thoughts, the chemical response naturally completes its cycle and dissipates within 90 seconds. Research from Harvard Medical School shows that emotions are initially just biochemical reactions. Your amygdala detects a stimulus and triggers a chemical cascade. This works because the emotion itself is brief, but most people immediately start storytelling, replaying the triggering event, imagining worst-case scenarios, or building narratives that keep retriggering the emotional response. Studies from the Journal of Neuroscience found that people who understand this physiological process report 40% less emotional reactivity because they stop fueling emotions with repetitive thoughts. Your prefrontal cortex, when given just 90 seconds of non-reactive observation, can regain executive control. First, the moment you notice a strong emotion arising, set a mental or physical timer for 90 seconds and commit to pure observation during this window. Second, focus on the physical sensations in your body without labeling or judging them. Notice the tight chest, the heat in your face, the tension in your shoulders. Just name the sensations. There's tightness, there's heat. Third, resist the urge to tell yourself the story about why you're feeling this way. No replaying the conversation, no imagining revenge scenarios, no catastrophizing. Just watch the sensations. Fourth, after 90 seconds, assess whether the emotional intensity has decreased. You'll often find it has naturally subsided by 60–80%. The mistake people make is immediately diving into the narrative, or trying to analyze the emotion during this critical window. For instance, instead of thinking, "I can't believe they said that, they always disrespect me, I should tell them off," simply notice my heart is racing, my jaw is clenched, and wait. But that's not all. Understanding the 90-second window is powerful, but this next technique gives you a tool to use in that critical moment. This next one is crucial because it's been proven in brain imaging studies to immediately reduce emotional intensity by activating your rational brain. Emotion labeling, or affect labeling, is the simple practice of putting your emotional experience into words. Instead of just feeling angry, anxious, or overwhelmed, you explicitly say to yourself, or out loud, "I am feeling anger. I notice anxiety arising," or "I'm experiencing disappointment right now." This isn't about analyzing why you feel this way. It's just acknowledging and naming the emotion as it occurs. UCLA neuroscience research using fMRI brain scans shows that when you label emotions, your prefrontal cortex becomes more active, while your amygdala, the brain's emotional center, shows decreased activity. This works because language processing is a cognitive function that engages your thinking brain, which has an inhibitory effect on your emotional brain. Dr. Matthew Lieberman's studies found that affect labeling reduces amygdala response by up to 50%, creating what he calls putting feelings into words. Your brain essentially can't be fully hijacked by emotion, while simultaneously engaging in the categorization process. Studies from Stanford show this technique works even better than distraction because you're not avoiding the emotion, you're creating cognitive distance from it. First, develop a rich emotional vocabulary beyond basic. Mad, sad, glad. Learn words like frustrated, resentful, disappointed, overwhelmed, apprehensive, so you can label precisely. Second, the moment you notice an emotional reaction, pause and internally or verbally state, "I'm feeling a emotion." Use first person and present tense to acknowledge without over-identifying. Third, you can extend this by labeling the intensity on a scale. I'm feeling moderately anxious, about a 6 out of 10. Fourth, if multiple emotions are present, label them all. I'm feeling both excited and nervous about this presentation. The common mistake is turning labeling into analysis, saying, "I'm feeling angry because they disrespected me, and that reminds me of a," instead of simply, "I'm feeling angry." For instance, when your boss criticizes your work, instead of immediately defending or shutting down, pause and think, "I'm noticing embarrassment and defensiveness arising, probably a 7 out of 10. Now, you might be thinking, what if the emotion is so intense that even labeling it feels impossible? That's exactly what this next technique addresses. Most people don't know this, but when you're emotionally hijacked, your attention is locked on the triggering thought, and there's a physical technique that breaks this loop instantly. The body scan interrupt is a grounding technique, where you systematically move your attention through different parts of your body when emotions feel overwhelming. Starting from the top of your head, you slowly bring awareness to each body region, your scalp, face, neck, shoulders, chest, arms, hands, stomach, legs, and feet, spending about 5-10 seconds on each area. You're simply noticing physical sensations, not trying to change them. Research from mindfulness-based stress reduction programs shows that body scanning activates your interoceptive awareness, your ability to sense internal body states, which competes for the same attentional resources as rumination. This works because your brain has limited attentional capacity. When you deliberately focus on neutral body sensations like the feeling of your feet on the floor or your hands resting on your lap, you're literally redirecting neural activity away from the emotional centers. Studies from the Journal of Clinical Psychology found that body scanning reduces emotional reactivity by 35% because it grounds you in present moment physical reality rather than the mental story driving the emotion. Your vagus nerve, which regulates your parasympathetic nervous system, also becomes more active during body scanning, promoting physiological calm. First, when you feel emotionally overwhelmed, immediately stop whatever you're doing and bring attention to the top of your head. Notice any sensations like tingling, pressure, or temperature. Second, slowly move your attention downward through your face, jaw, neck, shoulders, spending about 5-10 seconds in each region. You're not trying to relax them, just noticing what's there. Third, continue through your chest, arms, hands, stomach, hips, legs, and feet, paying special attention to areas where you notice strong sensations or tension. Fourth, if your mind wanders back to the emotional trigger, gently redirect it to the body part you're scanning without judgment. The mistake people make is rushing through this, or expecting instant relaxation. The goal isn't to feel good immediately, but to shift your attention away from the mental loop. For instance, if you're in a heated argument and feel rage building, excuse yourself to the bathroom, close your eyes, and do a 60-second body scan before responding. This brings me to something even more powerful that elite performers use to maintain emotional discipline during high-stakes situations. Here's where it gets fascinating. The deepest form of emotional discipline isn't controlling emotions. It's having something more important than the emotion in that moment. Values-based decision anchoring means defining your core values and using them as decision-making criteria when emotions arise. Before emotional moments happen, you've already decided what matters most to you: integrity, compassion, growth, excellence, whatever your true values are. Then, when an emotion tempts you to act against those values, you anchor yourself by asking, What would the version of me who lives my values do right now? Research from self-determination theory shows that when people connect decisions to deeply held values, they experience less emotional conflict and greater psychological resilience. This works because values activate your dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for executive control and long-term planning, which can inhibit impulsive emotional reactions from your limbic system. Studies from Stanford psychologist Kelly McGonigal found that people who regularly reflect on their values show 50% better emotional regulation under stress because the values create what she calls bigger perspective. When you're about to send an angry email, the emotion says, destroy them, but your value of professionalism says, communicate respectfully even in conflict.